Many grad workers at MIT do cutting-edge research in experimental labs and work with a variety of hazards, including toxic chemicals, explosives, lasers, and heavy machinery. All of this during the ongoing COVID pandemic, which puts all of us at risk for both acute and long-term illness. Unfortunately, MIT's safety infrastructure is often completely unequipped to deal with the hazards that we face and are required to work with on a daily basis.
So when we began negotiating our first contract, we came in and insisted on a number of common sense provisions for our health and safety. But MIT has continued to drag their feet on even common sense basic safety guarantees. But we're not going to take that. We don't deserve to work in an unsafe environment. Grad workers are not disposable. So grad workers came together recently. We took an action where we shared our experiences on a daily basis, the hazards we face. We collected them on 100 different note cards, and we brought them to the bargaining table. And now we want to read off some of these things because it really shows the magnitude of what we face on a daily basis.
We have begged our department for more lab and hood space. The crowded lab, especially the acid hood, where we deal with very dangerous hydrofluoric acid, leads to safety issues on a daily basis. An acid hood sits in a nearly empty lab next door that we aren't allowed to use.
Because MIT doesn't provide adequate facilities to EHS, I was forced to work with carbon monoxide outside of a fume hood and routinely felt symptoms of CO poisoning. One move could have left me and my coworkers dead.
I was hurt when I was forced to grind/polish magnetoelastic materials before running an MRI machine. The dust in my lungs was rocketed through my flesh, and now I have a chronic lung condition.
I'm probably not having kids due to chemical exposure.
Our advisor was having us do work that involves carbon monoxide outside of a hood. And this is an unfair work expectation that puts us at risk, all in the name of saving time and money.
My PI has proposed experiments that blatantly violate common safety practices in order to save on lab supplies.
The only acid and solvent fume hood in my lab, which is used by 10 plus people, has been broken for over 3 months. Despite repeated requests to have it fixed, it took EHS 2 months to tell us that it could only be fixed if we paid for it. And because my PI refuses to pay for it, it is still not fixed today, over 3 months later. And 10 plus grad workers are performing experiments daily in these unsafe conditions.
Due to a lack of resources, I breathed in painful HCl acid fumes while PHing without a fume hood.
Our Class D fire extinguisher for metals has been pending inspection for months. During this period, we've had a metal fire that has eaten through the so-called fireproof material of our bench tops.
Because of poor ventilation and MIT's negligent COVID precautions, my friend has heart damage and is suffering from long COVID.
And my reactor, which contains explosive gases like hydrogen, is inadequately ventilated simply because we don't have enough hood space to put it into a hood.
MIT's safety guardrails let me down when they made me pay the hospital bill for a lab accident because I had a fellowship.
I work with high voltages and have had multiple incidents of lab mates being near fatally shocked because of high grad student turnover, which leads to incomplete safety training on these instruments.
A lack of ventilated chemical storage means that we have to breathe in toluene, ether, dichloromethane, hexanes, and acetone, all dangerous for our health.
Due to MIT's negligence regarding COVID precautions, I struggle to find a safe place to unmask and eat, sometimes going a whole day without a meal.
I have had several lab mates, including myself, nearly die from fatal chemicals and chemical explosions that destroyed the lab. The only reason no one died after the explosion was because it was lunchtime.
My coworker was injured when exposed to pyrogenic material while carrying a child. She developed a fever that progressed to a preterm birth and death of her child. She had requested to be exempt from this work and had been denied by her PI.
My coworkers and I were almost hurt and killed when my molten salt reactor, which my advisor had been making me work with outside of a ventilated hood, started spewing out white phosphorus, a warfare agent, into the lab.
These were only a few of the over 100 testimonials that we collected at our action and march. There are hundreds more such hazards that we face every day across campus. We demand health and safety guarantees now.
We are not disposable. Our safety is not negotiable. We